Hello, welcome or welcome back. My name is Amanda and this is my channel all about knitting. Today I have a sit-down video for you talking about all of the knitting projects that I have been working on over the past couple weeks. I have a finished object to show you, a couple new cast-ons, and some really fun acquisitions I want to talk about at the end as well. Before we jump on into my finished object and what I'm wearing, I did want to remind you that you can find all of my socials down below in the description of this video, as well as links to everything that I talk about today and information about all of the things that I am knitting. So if you have any questions about things that I talk about in this video, they should be linked down in the description. If they aren't, feel free to leave me a comment, or you can also fill out my Google form that's linked in the description, and that's just a place for you to put video ideas, topics that you'd be interested in me talking about, and then they're all in one place. So we will start off as per usual with finished objects. What I am wearing today is my Opal Sweater by Ozetta. This pattern just released this past weekend and I was lucky enough to be able to test knit it, and I was lucky enough to be gifted yarn to do the test knit. So let's talk about my Opal Sweater. Start with something new that I want to add to this video, which is kind of like a timeline of how long it took me to knit something. I just feel like it might be interesting information to give you to say, hey, this is how many days it took me to knit this. Now keep in mind, if you did not know, I work from home. I'm a stay-at-home wife, not a mom. I'm a dog mom. I don't know, but I stay at home, and so I have probably more knitting time than the average person, but I feel like this is still going to be some interesting information. So I started the Opal Sweater on March 13th, that is when I cast on, and I bound it off on April 10th. So that was 40 days total of knitting, which feels like a lot. I don't know. I timed myself knitting a sweater last summer, and I think it took me 40 hours. So I guess 40 days, that would be like an hour of knitting each day. That's probably about accurate. I probably had a couple days in there too where I didn't knit on it and knit something else. So yeah, interesting information that I thought would be worth sharing. But other than that, let's jump into sweater details, what size I knit, that sorts of fun stuff. So I knit the size 4. This garment calls for approximately 8 inches of positive ease, and knitting the size 4 gave me 7 inches of positive ease, and I'm pretty happy with where that is sitting, especially when I kind of show you the depth of the raglan and stuff like that. I feel like if it was any larger on me, I would feel overtaken by it a little bit. I will at some point be popping B-roll in here as well. Maybe while I'm talking about this stuff I will. I'm not sure. This is something else I'm trying to get better at, is filming B-roll so I can put video up on the screen of me wearing the sweater, not just photos. So I don't know when I'm going to put it up on the screen. We'll see. The 7 inches of positive ease I'm very happy with. I think it gives a good fit. So for yarn, like I said, I was gifted the yarn to knit this from Wooldreamers and Ozetta. Ozetta is the designer. Wooldreamers was the yarn she used for the pattern, so I was gifted the yarn that the pattern was knit with to knit it up. And I'm very excited that I was. I feel like I got to try a whole bunch of new bases that I haven't tried before and found some that I quite like, which is also exciting. So for the body of this sweater, I held 2 yarns double. Wooldreamers Saona, which is their cotton merino blend, I believe. Cotton linen merino? Do I have a ball of it kicking around? I didn't write that down. I guess I could Google it. Cotton and wool. I knew it was either cotton or linen and wool. And I am a really big fan of the Saona base. We'll get into it a little bit more later. I actually have another project I am knitting with it now. I had purchased some balls of Saona last year with a totally different project in mind, never cast it on, and now a new project that I'm working on, it worked for perfectly, and I'm really enjoying working with it. But that aside, like I said, I'm holding double. So I have the Wooldreamers Saona, and then the Biches and Buches, what is it? It's such a long name. La Petite Silk and Mohair in the colorway dark blue green. We will get into that Biches and Buches a little bit later. I have a beef with it. Hey. This is editing, Amanda. I forgot to talk about my issue with the Biches and Buches, the Petite Silk Mohair. So I'm sure I'll be popping this in that point of the video, but it bled like crazy. Really, really, really bad. I don't know if that is because of the dark color that it is, but either way, in my opinion, the amount of bleeding was not acceptable. It bled so bad. If I had not preemptively put some color catcher sheets in there, it would have ruined the white on my sweater. So if you're interested in knitting the sweater in the same colors as me, I would enter into that mohair with caution and or find a different one. Yeah, it bled. I've never had a yarn bleed so badly other than maybe like a neon pink. Something about like fluorescent pinks don't set very well, or like deep, deep reds, but it was bad. And especially for a commercial yarn, in my opinion, a commercial yarn shouldn't bleed. So keep that in mind if you're interested in using that Biches and Buches mohair. I can't say what the rest of the colorways are like. I'm going to assume the lighter ones don't bleed so badly, but that dark blue-green bled like crazy. So just wanted to let you know. We'll go back to the video. Looks wise, I think it's really pretty. It gives a really nice marl to the body of the sweater. And then as for these sleeves here, this beautiful color work, this here is the Wooldreamers Saona in Groen, held double with Knitting for Olive Dusty Artichoke on their soft silk mohair base. This color here is Notes, held with Marzipan from Knitting for Olive on their soft silk mohair. Notes is, again, the Wooldreamers Saona. And then this sort of pinky dusty color here, this is Wooldreamers Saona Sarchief, held with Knitting for Olive in the colorway Mushroom Rose. So I'm really happy with the colors as well. I feel like putting those up against the blue is really striking, and I still have quite a good contrast between all the colors too. I was a little worried at first when I received the Sarchief and the Notes on their own that they were quite close and I was going to lose some of that contrast, but I think holding that Mushroom Rose with the Sarchief really makes for a pretty combo. Kind of gives the Sarchief like a dusty rose pink. I guess they call it dusty mushroom. I don't know. It feels pink to me in person. Kind of mauve-y pink maybe. But yeah, I think I chose my colors well. I'm happy with the colors. I feel like I don't have anything in my wardrobe like this, and the sleeve makes for a really striking, pretty little addition as well. So construction wise, this is a top-down raglan, and it does have, if you can see when I'm holding up here, a pretty deep raglan. So when I was talking earlier about not wanting any more positive ease to this, that's why. Let me stand up for just a moment, but you can kind of see it hits pretty low on my body, like just kind of below my bust. And so I feel like if I had any more positive ease, it was going to hit even further down, and that was going to be maybe a little bit too bat-wingy for me. I love the fit of a raglan. I love an oversized fit, but yeah, I'm not a bat-wing person. So I think if I would have gone any bigger with it, I would have been moving kind of into that batwing territory, which is not what I wanted. The other thing I wanted to talk about is that with this color work, there are two different length options for the color work chart. So there's one that I think is, I'm not sure the exact counts, but we'll say one is 50 stitches and one is 60, just for the sake of conversation here. But there are two options for length of the sleeve because the pattern calls for you to start the color work about an inch above your elbow. So you're supposed to measure like the length of your arm from that inch above your elbow down, and then kind of do a wee bit of math to figure out the proper color work chart for you to use. And I will say I wish I had knit my sleeve maybe a 1/4 inch to 1/2 an inch longer, so maybe to the center of my elbow instead of that inch above. Keep in mind though, I have really long arms, which seems wrong for a 5'1" person, but my torso is really long, and so I think that makes my arms quite long in turn as well. And so yeah, when you you factor those two things in together, the sleeve is maybe just a wee bit too short. So once I start like moving around and doing things, it kind of rides up a little bit and becomes more of a bracelet length, which isn't the end of the world because if you look here, the cuff is pretty wide. It's got like a little bit of a cinch in, but not a ton. So that does prevent the sleeve from getting in my way when I'm knitting or when I'm doing something around the house. But I do wish that it had just that tiny bit extra of length. Now when I'm walking around outside, I can grab it with my hands and pull it down a bit, but yeah. Just something to keep in mind that you might want to add a wee bit of extra length, or even maybe just knit the cuff a little longer. I guess that's something I could have done, but I was following, obviously, the pattern instructions because this was a test knit. But otherwise, yeah, like I said, a really nice raglan. The raglan itself is 2 stitches wide. I don't think you're going to be able to see it because of the marling of the fabric here, but just a really classic raglan. It was not a compound, if I remember correctly. It was just a straight raglan until you were ready to split for the sleeves. Hold it over collar on this one. I'm happy with the length of the collar too and where it hits. I'm not a turtleneck person. I like my collar to be like no higher than this point, honestly. And then the bottom of the body is also just ribbed as well. Everything on here is twisted rib. Oh, that's something I should mention. I learned how to do a tubular bind off with a twisted rib. Not complicated, but I think it helps finish everything off neatly. So that was something fun to learn. I think it turned out pretty good. I do think a twisted rib tubular bind off loses some of the stretch. I would say it's definitely like stiffer than a normal tubular bind off, but otherwise I think it looks really good. So yeah, that is my opal sweater. I think that is everything. Feel free to ask questions, of course, if you have any, but I think I've covered everything. I've covered everything in my notes, at least. That is finished objects. Should we jump into works in progress? Quickly, I did want to say, last episode I had talked about the Arconia sweater, which I'm testing for Lillian Olson. We were having some issues with the shaping and the short rows in it, so the pattern has been rewritten and I need to rip that out and start over. I wasn't very far, so I had no issues with starting over, but I'm not going to show that to you today because I haven't done that as of yet. I have a couple projects that I am almost done that I have been wanting to finish, so I've been working on those. But that I'm sure I will show next episode once I have got that all figured out and restarted. So that's where my Arconia is. But what I really want to talk about this episode is my Interthreading cardigan by Hannah Sandler. I have it in a Birch Grove bag, which it really doesn't fit in anymore, but that's okay because it's almost done. So I'm not too concerned. And I am so close to finishing this. I started this cardigan on February 27th, so it's been on the needles 55 days so far, which doesn't surprise me. When you see the texture pattern on this, you'll see why it's taking me maybe a little bit longer. I am almost done. I just have the button band left. I have the whole body done. I have the sleeves done. This has like changed so immensely since last episode. Last episode, I don't know if you can see that progress keeper there, but I only had to that point on the body, right there. And the sleeves were not done at all. None of that. So this has definitely been my focus-y project for the past couple weeks, just because I knew due date was coming up soon for this. This is another test knit, but if I show you a close-up of the texture of this, you will see why it's been taking me so long. Those are all slipped yarn. So there's a ton of slip stitches in this, and you carry the yarn in the front instead of the back to give you that texture. That makes it slow going because every time you're slipping stitches, that row shortens and it's almost like that row takes 2 rows to finish. I hope that explanation makes sense. Either way, it's exceptionally slow going, but I am past that point now and I just have the button band to do. So let's see, I am knitting the size 6 for this. It's going to give me about 11 inches of positive ease. It's going to be a really big, cozy, oversized garment. I am knitting this out of Birch and Lily Fiber Co. in the colorway Maple Walnut on our Birch DK base. It is a 100% superwash merino, 231 yards per 100 grams. The called for yarn is from ZZ Textiles on what I'm assuming is the same, if not exceptionally similar base. It is also a 100% superwash merino DK weight yarn, 231 yards per 100 grams. So I'm gonna say, for all intents and purposes, same yarn, different tires. I have been working away on this. It is knit from the top down. So you start with the body, you work the whole back before the sleeve split, and then you pick up on the shoulders and work the 2 fronts before the sleeve split. Once you're both at the exact same spot, you connect in the round, not in the round, flat, but you connect under the arms and work the rest of the body flat. And then the sleeves are also knit flat. Can you believe I seamed these? I'm so proud of myself. I put a video up on Instagram, which I think is super cool, showing me do the mattress stitch and like cinch it tight on these sleeves. And I think they turned out so good. So there you can see the seam of the mattress stitch where I seamed it here under the arm. The reason it's called to do that in the pattern is so these, is so these slip stitches line up really well and you don't get like a jog. Because if you knit in the round, you're always, when you hit the beginning of the round again, it jogs up ever so slightly so that you can do the next round and then it jogs up and so on and so on. And so if you were to do that with these slip stitches, you would have a jog between the beginning and end of row. So I think it was totally worth it, and it honestly was not hard at all. And then I had to seam it to the body, which I've also never done. Is that called a set-in sleeve? It may be called a set-in sleeve. Don't quote me on it. My extensive knowledge of seaming is zilch, minus what I learned working on this. So if that's a set-in sleeve, let me know. But I also seamed the sleeves on. So I'm so proud. Like, even the connection between that I think is flawless, if I do say so myself. So very proud. And then let's see, everything's finished. Cuffs and the bottom hem with tubular bind off. And like I said, I just have the button band to do. So the button band on this one, you work the 2 sides, excluding the top around the neck, and then you do that portion after the 2 sides are done. So yeah, I'm excited to block this. These sleeves are blocked, so that'll give you kind of an idea of what the texture opens up to look like, but the body is not blocked yet. So very excited to block it. Also, when I block it, it's going to get rid of this little bit of a cinch that's happening on the bottom here. I'll block that so everything's about the same width, so I'm looking forward to that. But what I really wanted to talk about today, with this at least, and something I've learned technique-wise with everything I've been working on lately, honestly, I think all the projects I've been working on, minus this one, have 1x1 normal rib. And I learned to combination knit. So basically, how you combination knit is when you're doing your purl stitches, you wrap the yarn the opposite way around the needle, and it makes a tighter purl stitch. So then your rib becomes neater. In the round, not so much of a problem for me. Usually I'll just knit my ribbing in the round inside out and call it good, but I still had not found a trick for neater ribbing, knitting 1x1 ribbing flat. So this ribbing on here was knit flat and with combination knitting, and you can see how tidy it looks. I'm really proud of it. So yeah, like I said, you wrap the purls the wrong way, and then when you're coming back the opposite way on the wrong side, that in turn makes your knit stitches twisted, so then you have to untwist them by knitting through the back loop on the next row. And while you're doing that, you're still wrapping the purls the same way. It's kind of confusing. If that's something you'd be interested in a tutorial for, I'd be happy to film that. But yeah, I think it has fixed my 1x1 ribbing flat. So combination knitting is the bomb. It does take maybe a little bit more thinking, just because you have to remember, okay, I gotta wrap those purls the wrong way, and then I gotta fix my knit stitches. The knit stitches are a little bit easier to remember because if I go to put my needle in how I normally would for a knit stitch, not through the back loop, it feels wrong. So then I'm like, oh yeah, that needs to be fixed. Fixed, flipped, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, a little bit of memory to remember to do the purl stitches that way, but I think it's made a really big difference in my 1x1 ribbing, and I'm really pleased with it. So I'm going to continue doing that for the time being. And then my 1x1 ribbing, I did test it out with the combination knitting on this one. I think I still prefer how it looks flipped inside out, so I'll probably tend to do that for 1x1 ribbing cuffs, but yeah, we'll see. Or I guess 1x1 ribbing in the round. I will continue to flip inside out for 1x1 ribbing in the round, and when I'm doing 1x1 ribbing flat, I will do combination knitting. That's what I was trying to say. So yeah, this is so close to being finished. I guarantee you by next episode it will be done. And the pattern is releasing very soon too. I don't have it written down just yet, or I don't have it written down anywhere. Maybe I can find, let's see, pattern release will be on May 16th. So pretty soon, less than a month, getting close. So yeah, interthreading, very happy, can't wait to wear this. I'm going to move my progress keeper like the good podcaster I sometimes am. And yeah, I think I'm just gonna keep working away on this tonight, and fingers crossed I'll have it done within the next couple days. The only other thing I need to work on tonight, I will be talking about next, and I will tell you why in just a second. So this is a new cast on, and you're gonna see a reoccurring theme with the color of this yarn. Apparently this is the color of my summer. But this bag here is from That Crafty Little Fox. And I have my Tolsta tank test knit in here for Rebecca Clow. This is like a sister pattern to her Tolsta tee that I test knit last summer. And it's basically a blank slate type pattern that comes with lots of information on different ways you can hack or adjust the pattern to add lace, to change the ribbing, to add color work, to add cables, whatever the heck you so desire. And this tank version is coming with 3 different shape options, as well as a whole bunch of different bust shaping options as well, which I think is really cool. So I am knitting the square tank with the size D bust adjustment in the DK weight version. That's something else that's special about this. It comes in DK and fingering. So there is an endless amount of options of different things you can knit with this. So let's reiterate that, because that was a mouthful. I'm knitting the size 4 with the square shape, square neck shape, the size D bust adjustment out of DK weight yarn. Hopefully that makes sense. The yarn that I'm using for this is Satisgarn Lena. I am on a mission to find summer yarns that I like. I'm liking this one so far. I am quite a fan of this so far. I like the feel. That is the problem I tend to, or I have had before with summer yarns, is I don't like the feel. Straight up cotton feels disgusting to me. So this one is 53% cotton, 33% viscose, 14% linen. I find mixing either like with this here with the cotton and the wool, so mixing either wool or linen in with the cotton so it's not straight up cotton makes it feel better to me. I just don't like cotton on its own is what I'm coming to learn. So yeah, really liking this so far. This is like a DK weight yarn, so I'm holding it single. And let's see, this colorway is called Dusty Green. The pattern itself calls for a whole multitude of yarn because Rebecca's knit like a whole bunch of versions of this for the different shapes and stuff. So she did knit one out of the Lena. She's used Drop Spell. That's all I wrote down for the DK weight version, but a whole bunch of different options are noted in the pattern of what you could possibly use, though people are using everything under the sun. So yeah, I literally just started this yesterday. I'm going to be filming a like project type vlog video for this. So I started filming that yesterday too, and that will obviously go up after I'm done knitting the tank. But yeah, cast on yesterday. And the modification I'm doing is I'm switching all of the ribbing out for double knit ribbing, which is going, it's going. I don't have much done. I had cast it on with a different needle size, actually the needle size that I'm going to be using for the main part of the body last night, thinking that that would be okay, but I hated the gauge of it. So I ended up ripping that out and casting on with a couple sizes, I think like 0.5 millimeter smaller. So my main body needle is going to be a 4.5 millimeter. What that is in US size, let's see. That's a 7. And now my double knit needle is going to be a 4 millimeter needle, which is a US 6. And you can see it is still like a looser gauge, but this feels quite neat to me. I'm pretty happy with that. And when I block it, I am planning to pull on it a little bit just so that the stitches kind of tighten themselves up a little bit more together, if that makes sense. But yeah, this is double knit. So the bottom hem will be double knit, and then I'm sure I've popped a picture up on the screen, but the rib here into the straps and here on the collar will also be double knit. So to make up for the fact that this is double knit, because when you double knit, you're losing like half of the stitches almost because they move to the other side. Does that make any sense? This is like a tube almost, but let's just say double knit cinches in your stitches quite a bit. I decided the reason, okay, let's back up. The reason I had originally cast on the double knitting in the 4.5 millimeter was because I thought that would compensate enough for the loss of those stitches or the loss of the circumference of the garment, so that it wouldn't like cinch in too much on the bottom. But because I hated how the fabric of that looked, I have cast on now on the 4 millimeter needles with the size up amount of stitches. So I'm knitting the size 4, but I've cast on the bottom here with the size 5 stitches. And then once I am done this double knit hem, I will decrease down to the size 4 amount of stitches. And that I think should give me a pretty straight looking body. And like I said, if I need to yank on the double knit a little bit on the bottom, I'm planning to anyways. That'll help cinch it in a little bit as well. So we'll see how that goes. I swatched for the main body, but I had zero desire to swatch for the double knit portion. So I'm kind of just winging it, but we'll see. Anyways, I want to get this double knitting done because my husband and I are going to a movie tomorrow, and I want to have just stockinette in the round ready to bring with me to the movie theater. And this is the only project I have right now that's going to be stockinette in the round, so this has to be it. Going good so far. I think it looks really pretty. I love this color. I'm excited to see how it goes. I think this is going to be a really nice drapey summer top. So not tons to talk about because I just started it. Like I said, I've literally only worked on it for a day, but excited to continue. Final project I've been working on is my Phoebe top by Aimee Sher. This is also new since last episode, I think. This bag is from Knitting Nelly. And like I said, I have a theme because this is the color of this top. It's green too. Apparently I'm feeling like sea foamy, sagey, I don't know, green. Green is my color for this year. So let us see. I started this on April 13th, so I've been working on it 9 days so far. I am in the middle of a row, of course, so let me see how I can fix this so that it's visible to you. Thankfully my needles are my circular needles rather, are pretty big on this, but I am knitting the size D, and this top comes with two different versions to it, just a straight version and then a version which is called the curvy version for people with bigger bust, and that is me. So I'm knitting the curvy version, size D. And here's where I am so far. That's the wrong side. Apologies. Gosh, here's where I am so far. It's cables. It's so pretty. So I'm knitting this out of the Wooldreamers Saona. This is the yarn that I had purchased last year and thought I was going to use for something else. And believe it or not, this pattern calls for the Saona, and I had enough balls of it that I thought it would be the perfect fit for this pattern. So this is going to be constructed in two pieces, the front and the back. Then it's going to be seamed together, and then there's just going to be I-cord edging added around the arms and the collar. So yeah, I'm a pro at seaming now. At least I feel like I am. So I'm not worried about seaming this at all. I also think it's a smart choice because with the cotton and wool mix here, it's going to be a little bit drapier, and it's going to have more of a tendency to grow downwards as I wear it. So those seams on the sides are going to give it a little bit of structure and help prevent that drooping, sagging, stretching. I don't know, all of those sound horrible. But yeah, that is what the seaming is meant to do. So, enjoying this so far. Really liking the cables. I did cast it on once and have to start over because I messed up the cables, and because of that I have added my flat row counters to it so that I don't forget what row I'm on. I thought I could read my knitting and figure it out myself, and apparently I could not. So yeah, but wasn't too bad. I'm already past where I had to rip out from, so I can't complain. These are really pretty 1/2 cables, and then these are nice chunky twisted cables as well. I am so excited for this. It's like just a really classic, it's not racer back. I don't know what I would call the style of it, but the fit of it is really cute. I'm sure there's been a picture on the screen already. I think it's going to be something that's going to be great under a cardigan or like a little bit warmer of a jacket, a jean jacket. This would look really cute with, I think, but just another really classic summer piece. I don't have a lot of summer knitwear because of the fact that I cannot or could not find summer fibers that I liked. But now that I've found a couple that I'm a fan of, I'm excited to add to my summer wardrobe. So yeah, really enjoying this. I don't have a lot of notes written down for it because again, I'm not super far, but you can see obviously it's bottom up. Like I said, it's seamed, and I'm really enjoying working on it, and I love the color of this yarn. I hope you can see, it's almost got like a marl to it. There's like a little bit of like a lighter white sort of color that peeks through. I just think it's really pretty. So I hope they come out with more colors of this. Well, dreamers, if you're watching my video, more colors, please. I like this a lot. A lot. Really looking forward to continuing to work on this. I think it's beautiful. So yeah, I'm excited to be working on some summer knits, and they're just gonna go so much faster because I don't have to knit sleeves. I have some fun acquisitions to talk about. So I'm gonna take a drink really quick because my throat is quite parched and I feel like I'm starting to sound a little froggy, and then we will jump into those. So the first thing I want to talk about is these Untwisted Threads, which is a YouTube channel that they review yarns here on YouTube, but they'll take a yarn for a video, they swatch it up, they talk about like the cost of it and the feel of it and how it knits up and the durability of it and all sorts of things. They do a really comprehensive review on different yarns, and they have come out with these yarn cards, and they were so kind to send them to me to get my opinion on them. So basically what they are cards with the yarns. I think they must review 6 yarns a month. Do all of these have 6 on them? I think so. So they must review 6 yarns a month, but every month they're going to be coming out with a card with a little swatch of each of the yarns that they have reviewed on it. And you can purchase them so that you can feel the yarn and know what it's like before you go and purchase a whole ball, which I think is amazing because like 6 of these, let's say each of these is 10 bucks average. That's $60 that I would have to spend. Apparently I'm gonna have a lot of editing to do later because my battery just died. And that doesn't tend to happen very often when I'm just doing a sit-down video. But back to these yarn cards. Like I was saying, they have little swatches so you can feel and look at the ply of the yarns. So the ladies at Untwisted Threads were very, very kind and sent me every single one of their yarns that they have tried so far on little cards, which is craziness. I have the coolest yarn library started and I've already been able to use these. Actually, the card, let me find it. One of the cards on here has the Sandisgarn Lena and I touched it before I ordered it and it was super helpful because like I said, it's gonna be the last card I look at. Just wait. Where's it on this first one? I swear it was. Haha. It was the last card. But like I said, I have issues with cotton in yarns, so it was nice to be able to feel the Lena here and know that I liked how it felt and I was going to be happy with the yarn that I was purchasing. So the way they're going to be selling these going forward is they have a Patreon, and if you sign up for $10 a month, you can pick your 6 yarns to put on a card every month and they will mail it out to you and you can start growing your little yarn library, as they call it. So with that being said, when they sent these to me, they asked me to go through and pick my top 6 yarns of what I thought you might like on your first card. And let me tell you, there are some cool things on here. Yarns that are hard for me to get a hold of or I've never heard of before, so that was really cool. But I have them all written down here. And if you've used these before in a full project, please let me know how they work up because they are like high on my list now of things I want to try. They feel incredible on this card. So Fiberco Luma is a 50% merino wool, 25% cotton. See, this is another summer yarn. I've written down a lot of summer yarns on here. I am in a summer yarn mood. So Fiberco Luma, 50% merino wool, 25% cotton, 15% linen, and 10% silk. It feels like a dream. Oh my gosh. Now I'm gonna have to pull them up on these cards. Oh, good. So that one's on the bottom here. It's like, I don't know. It's so soft. And the ply on it I think is really, really nice. So I'm excited to use that for a project in the future, hopefully. Now I know how it feels. So Drops Alpaca. Let me find that one. Here we go. 100% alpaca. Oh my gosh, feels like a dream. Feels like a cloud. Can you imagine? Oh my gosh, actually that would be really pretty in a, what is it called? Cumulus blouse. Instead of like a mohair or a suri, I feel like this would make for a really pretty cumulus blouse. Camerose Snefnug. I know what this one looks like. Where are you? I don't know what it looks like. I lie. I have heard people talking about this one. Here we go. Before, and again, it feels like a cloud. Apparently I just want to use yarns that feel like a cloud, but it looks like it's almost a blown yarn. It is 55% cotton, 35% alpaca, 10% merino wool. But it feels so nice. Drops Air. I really like the Drops yarns that I have used and I would love to try some more, but they're so hard to get a hold of because you have to order them over from, what is it, the UK? And so they take forever to come, and so I just don't tend to order it. But now that I know what this feels like, I want to use it for something. 65% alpaca, 28% polyamide, 7% wool. And then, I have never tried Angora wool before, but I thought alpaca was soft until I touched this. This is Plymouth Angora, which is just 100% Angora wool, and it feels like I'm touching nothing. It feels like I'm touching air. And then the final one I wrote down, if I was to order a card, which by the way, I will preface this with, I am going to sign up for this. I think it's great. I love trying new yarns, especially because I have the podcast And so I want to be able to recommend new things to you or different options. And it's just fun to try new things as well. But the final one I wrote down here was the Jamieson & Smith Shetland Heritage. I hear lots of people talking about Jamieson & Smith. Now, this is definitely more of a rustic-y yarn, but I think it would make for a really nice, like, jacket. Maybe if I held it with something in, say, a Miles shirt jacket by Ozetta, I think that would be really beautiful. So yeah, like I said, I love these. I'm definitely going to be signing up for their Patreon and doing this every month. The only thing I can maybe see being an issue in the future is keeping these organized, because it's not organized alphabetically or by brand or anything like that. It's just going to be on like whatever card you get organized by month. So that might be a bit of an issue in the future. I don't know. Maybe I need to make like some sort of spreadsheet to go along with these, just saying like what month card they're on and then keep them organized by month. But I feel like it's really worth it to be able to try out a whole bunch of yarns and not have to drop a whole bunch of money on something, especially if you don't live near a local yarn store and you can't go in and touch a lot of these yarns. Then you're not wasting money shipping a whole bunch of balls of yarn to you, realizing you don't like it, shipping it back, that sort of thing. So highly, highly recommend these. I will make sure their YouTube channel and their Patreon are both linked down below in the description if you're interested. The other acquisition I got is this gorgeous, gorgeous binder. This is something new from Twice Sheared Sheep that just came out, and I had ordered it myself the day it went live on their website. I think it was like April 15th. And full transparency, they did contact me after I placed my order and offered to refund me. I am an affiliate with them, so I do have a code down below if you're ever interested in anything from Twice Sheared Sheep. If you use my code, I get a small bit of commission from it, but it doesn't cost you anything extra. It's just kind of like a thank you for telling me about this thing. I don't know. Anyways, full transparency, they did end up refunding me for this. They paid for it, but I am pretty happy with it so far. I have a couple things I want to say, but I thought I would talk about it a little bit. Basically, this is their new project journal. So the idea is that you're able to keep notes on your project, swatches of yarn from your project, the pattern, like everything kind of all in one place. So if I open this up, there is a spot for a pencil. I have my business cards in here too, because I kind of think I want to just carry this around with me everywhere. But there are also these project pages included. They have a spot to put all the information about your project and also like a little pocket. So you can tuck ball bands in there, swatches, that sort of thing. I don't want to show this because I have a pattern in here, but there's these plastic little page protectors that you can slide your pattern into so that it's in there as well. And then it also comes with dotted like bullet journal paper and gridded graph paper as well. So what do I have to say about this? I like it so far. There are a few things that I maybe wish were different. First of all, I think it's going to fill up really fast, which is slightly disappointing. But I think what I'm going to do is only keep the projects I'm currently working on in here. So this can kind of be my little folio that has my pattern in it, all my project notes, all of the information that I would need for working on those projects. I think I'll keep them in here. And then as I finish a project, I'll move it into, I haven't fully decided yet, maybe another binder or a box or something, so that I can still access them and look at them later, because I do like to look back on my project notes for swatch information, needle information, yarn. Like I leave notes about anything and everything. This is what I used before for my journal, but you can see it's getting really wide. It's just not working for putting swatches and stuff in there. So I thought this might be a good way to upgrade. So yeah, I think it's gonna fill up really fast, just like that. But it's a little bit easier to pop things out because it is a binder. So I can move things in and out of it a little bit easier, which I like. I do also like, you just hole punch here to put a swatch of your yarn on it, which I think is really cool. Now with that being said, for example, this pullover here, I used a lot of yarn. There's not enough space to write all of the yarn colors on here, so I would either have to double them up or use 2 pages, or I guess I could maybe in the little pocket tuck like an extra piece of paper with the rest of the yarns on it. So there is that. The other thing that kind of disappointed me, and one of the reasons I had purchased this in the first place, is they advertised this to be able to snap it like this and then use it almost, whoop, see, it doesn't even want to snap shut, to use it like an easel. Now the problem is this doesn't go very far and it just pops back open. It doesn't say snap shut. It doesn't work as an easel. Okay, now I'm saying that and it's working. That's awkward. Okay, so it works as an easel. Oh, see, no, here, okay, here's the problem. Let's see if I can turn my camera up. If I have the papers all perfectly split evenly, oh, it's unsnapped again. The snap, I think, just is not strong enough to do this. So if I have all the pages put like that, great. It stands up like an easel. But if I flip too many and it gets too much weight on the one side, now it's not gonna do it. It kept flopping over on me earlier and it just wasn't, yeah, see? There we go. If you don't balance it just right and then it unsnaps on you and it just doesn't wanna, and maybe it's something that I need to use it a little bit longer because like the binder is stiff, but it just, the easel mode is not working. With that being said, I love these sheet protectors and I love being able to tuck the pattern in here, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to really use it on that easel mode. I think I'm just gonna have to lay it on the couch or the table beside me. So yeah, I don't know. I will keep you updated on if like over time, maybe the binding on this will like loosen up a little and it will easel mode better. But because the other thing that is supposed to be great with the easel mode, it comes with this elastic and then you're supposed to be able to like put it wherever you are in the pattern and it'll like mark where you are. You can put it underneath the row you're on so you don't get lost. So yeah, I will let you know over the next little while. I'm definitely going to use this. I'm definitely excited about it. I'm just, the easel mode is not working for me. So I'll let you know how that goes. Like I said, I think it's just this, well, the snap isn't strong enough to hold it up. It just pops too easy. Anyways, otherwise, love this. Love the project pages. Love the little pockets on the folios, or like the little folio pockets rather. I love how I can put my yarn swatches on there. I love the little clear page protectors. It has the pen holder on it, which I think is great. So overall, I think so far it's worth it to me. Like I said, I will see how quickly it fills up. I think what might also help, and maybe let's do this right now. I don't need all of this graph paper and stuff in here. I don't think that's something I'm going to use on the daily. I think it's going to be something I'm going to use more so if I have to add extra notes that don't fit on a project page in there. So if I take those out, okay, that does leave me with quite a bit more room. So keep that in mind too if it's something you're interested in. But yeah, I will keep you updated on what I think in the next little while. But so far, I am excited about it. It's definitely going to work way better than this. I know that for sure. And yeah, I wrote a whole bunch of notes down here, so I just want to check that I didn't miss anything. I'm the type of person who starts talking and then I forget all the points I want to hit. So especially with something like this where it's not a huge investment. It's $45 and you get, I think, 12 project pages, a whole stack of the bullet and graph paper, and then maybe 12 of the clear page protectors with it too. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I think that's right. So for $45, I don't think that's too bad. But then you also have to keep in mind that you need to buy the project pages as time goes on. So it's a little bit pricier of an option, but for someone like me who has a lot of projects on the go at once, I'm testing a lot of stuff, so I have to keep a lot of information written down. I like the thought of having it all in one sturdy place. So yeah, I wish the snap would work better because easel mode is an issue so far, I wrote, and then just that it would fill up fast. But yeah, I think I could just get another binder or something to put finished projects in and just keep the ones I'm working on here. So yeah, that is that. I have no other acquisitions. The only other, well, I guess the only other one I had was the yarn for my Tolsta tank, but we talked about that already. So with that being said, if you have any questions about what I talked about today, feel free to ask in the comments, put them in on that Google form if you think it could be a whole video. Everything that I talked about today will be linked down below in the description, the project journal, the yarn cards, the yarn I'm using, the patterns I'm knitting, all that stuff. It's always down below in the description. If you haven't subscribed already, I would love if you did so. It helps the channel out a lot and it lets you know when I upload new videos. And I will see you again next week for another one. Bye!